Buckle up, everyone, because today we're taking a deep dive into Delta Autocorp.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one.
They're getting ready for their IPO, and we're diving into their draft red herring prospectus.
Oh, and we've got some industry reports, too.
It's going to be a wild ride through the world of electric vehicles.
We're going to break it all down.
So you don't have to be a financial whiz to understand what makes this company tick.
Right, no jargon here.
So what's the big story with Delta Autocorp? What makes them so interesting?
Well, for starters, they're moving fast. Launched in 2023.
That recently, huh?
Yeah. And already gearing up for an IPO. That's impressive.
Definitely ambitious.
And they're laser focused on what they call the Bharat market. Consumers in those Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities in India. Think outside the major metros.
Okay. That's not the usual target for companies looking to grow that quickly.
Right. It's a smart move, though.
Why is that?
These cities are booming. Lots of economic growth. More and more people moving in.
So more people who need transportation.
Exactly. And these folks are looking for vehicles that are affordable, reliable, stylish.
Makes sense. And electric, right? Because we're talking EVs here.
You got it. Delta Autocorp is hitting that sweet spot, offering high-quality electric vehicles packed with features.
But without the crazy price tag.
Right. They call it a mass premium approach, quality without breaking the bank.
So they're starting with electric two-wheelers and three-wheelers.
Yeah. Models like the Delta ZGS, Legion, Star, and Vayu. Later on, premium electric scooters and rickshaws are on the roadmap.
Interesting choices. Why those vehicles specifically?
Well, think about India. Traffic's a nightmare in those cities, and pollution is a huge problem. Two- and three-wheelers are already super popular.
Makes sense.
Plus, they're easier and cheaper to make than cars.
Makes sense from a business perspective, too.
Right. And as India pushes for cleaner transportation, the demand for these electric models gonna explode.
So Delta Autocorp is basically getting ahead of the curve.
Big time. And where are they building these EVs? Get this. They've got plants in West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh.
Two very different parts of the country. Interesting.
It's a strategic move for sure. They might be tapping into different resources in each region.
Like different incentives from the local governments, maybe?
Possibly. Or different labor pools. Either way, they're thinking big.
They're definitely not limiting themselves.
Nope. So let's zoom out for a minute and talk about the overall electric vehicle market. This is a huge wave Delta Autocorp is riding.
Give us the numbers. How big are we talking?
Globally, massive. First quarter of 2024, over 2.3 million electric cars sold.
Wow.
And by the end of the year, projections say we could hit 14 million.
That's incredible. So where does India fit into all of this?
India is the world's third largest automobile market.
That's huge EE.
And they're a major player in two-wheelers and three-wheelers, which is exactly what Delta Autocorp is making.
Right, right. So is it just consumer demand driving this electric vehicle boom in India?
Consumers are definitely on board, but the Indian government is also really pushing electric mobility. They want 30% electric vehicle market share by 2030. They've even got this scheme, FAME.
FAME. What's that stand for?
Faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles. Basically, it's a bunch of incentives to encourage both buyers and manufacturers.
Oh, so like tax breaks and stuff.
Exactly. Subsidies, tax breaks, support for building charging stations. They're trying to create a whole EV ecosystem.
Smart move. Make it easier for people to make the switch.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone involved. Creates a good environment for a company like Delta Autocorp to thrive.
So we've talked about their products, their market, and the government support. But what about their actual business model?
They're all about affordability, accessibility, and customer experience.
Okay, break that down for us. Let's start with accessibility. How are they reaching those consumers in all those different cities?
They've built a massive network of over 300 dealerships across 25 states and union territories.
Wow, that's a lot of ground covered.
And they're not stopping there. They've got plans to expand even further.
Making sure those vehicles are available everywhere.
That's the key. Now, customer experience is where things get really interesting. They're putting a huge emphasis on it.
Customer experience.
Yeah.
In the auto industry. That's not something you hear about every day.
I know, right? But they're doing it. They're paying attention to every detail from the moment a customer walks into a dealership to after they've bought the vehicle.
So it's more than just selling a car. It's about building a relationship with the customer.
Exactly. And that plays right into their mass premium strategy. They're making the whole ownership experience feel premium, even if the price is more accessible.
Smart move.
Right. Makes them stand out. Okay, are you ready to dive into the numbers?
Hit me with it. How are they doing financially?
Revenue growth is off the charts. In 2022, they hit 5,713.39 lakhs.
Wait, break that down for us non-finance folks.
That's a 242.79% increase from the previous year.
Whoa. That's not just growth. That's like rocket ship growth.
Yeah.
But are they actually making a profit?
Well, that's where it gets a little complicated. They've had negative cash flow from operating activities lately.
So they're spending a lot of money.
They are. But that's not always a bad thing, especially for a company growing this fast.
It's like they're investing in their future.
Exactly. Building that network of dealerships, developing new products, expanding their manufacturing. All of that costs money up front.
So they're playing the long game. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's talk about their IPO.
The big event. They're planning to list on the Emerge platform of the National Stock Exchange of India Limited.
Okay, and how much are they looking to raise?
We don't have all the details yet, but it's going to be substantial.
And what are they planning to do with all that money?
A big chunk of it is going towards a new electric three-wheeler plant.
To keep up with that demand we were talking about.
Yep. They're also investing in new product development so they can keep innovating and coming up with cool new vehicles.
Staying ahead of the competition.
And they're not forgetting about the day-to-day stuff. They're allocating funds for working capital, too.
Okay, so they're covering all the bases. Growth, innovation, and keeping the lights on.
Now, there's one thing in their financial reports that I thought was really interesting. Their trade receivable days.
Trade receivable. Refresh my memory on what that is.
It's basically how long it takes them to collect payments from customers.
Oh, right.
Their policy is usually to get payments up front, which you can see in their numbers from 2021 and 2022, super low trade receivable days. But there have been times when those days have gone way up.
So they've given some customers more time to pay.
Looks like it. Probably strategic decisions, maybe to land a big deal or build a key relationship.
Calculated risks, huh?
Definitely. So we've talked about their growth, their finances, their strategy, but how are they actually managing all of this? How are they making sure things run smoothly?
Let's talk operational efficiency.
They're focusing on inventory management, making sure they have the right amount of stuff at their two plants.
So no wasted resources.
And they've got strict quality control measures in place throughout the entire manufacturing process.
So they're building a good reputation for quality right from the start.
And they've built a strong team, both on the production side and in management. Everyone's on board with their vision.
It sounds like they've got a well-oiled machine. But let's be real, there are always risks.
Of course. Even the best companies face challenges.
Like what? What could potentially throw them off track?
Well, for one, the competition in the electric vehicle market is fierce.
They're up against some big names, right?
Yeah, like Hero MotoCorp and TVS Motor, plus a bunch of new startups. Everyone wants a piece of that EV pie.
So they got to stay innovative to stand out.
Absolutely. And they rely a lot on other companies for things like supplies and logistics. Any disruptions there could cause problems.
Right, the whole supply chain thing. What else?
The government regulations for EVs in India are always changing. Delta Autocorp needs to be able to adapt.
Gotta stay flexible.
And let's not forget, they're still a pretty young company. There's always uncertainty when you're growing this fast.
True.
Oh, and there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. Those personal guarantees from their promoters.
Yeah, that was interesting. Remind us what those are all about.
Basically, the people in charge have put their own assets on the line to get funding for the company.
Shows a lot of confidence in their vision.
It also means they're taking on a lot of personal risk. So yeah, they're all in on this.
Wow. High stakes. So we've covered a ton about Delta Autocorp already.
Their story, their strategy, the good, the bad, and the uncertain.
What a ride.
You know, before we move on to their growth strategy,
Yeah.
there's one more risk we should probably talk about.
Okay, lay it on me.
The global economic climate. It's not great right now.
Right, even though Delta Autocorp is focused on India,
Yeah.
the global economy can still affect them.
Exactly. I mean, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, they're predicting a slowdown in global growth.
Oh, that's not good.
Nope. Inflation's up, supply chains are still messed up, and then you've got those geopolitical tensions, you know?
Yeah. Lots of uncertainty out there.
So even if demand for EVs in India stays strong, a global recession could still hurt Delta Autocorp.
How so?
Well, less investment, people spending less money, currency exchange rates going crazy, all of that can make it harder for them to, get funding, import parts.
And keep their prices competitive.
Exactly. It's a reminder that no company is an island, you know?
Everything's connected.
Yeah.
So speaking of adapting, let's talk about Delta Autocorp's growth strategy. What are their big plans for the future?
They've got a multi-pronged approach. First up, they're building another manufacturing plant in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, so they're serious about scaling up.
Oh, yeah. This new plant will boost their production capacity like crazy, and it'll help them serve the north and central parts of India better.
Smart. Get closer to the customers.
Right. And they've already secured the land for it, so it's not just talk. They're making moves.
That's impressive. What else is on their growth agenda?
They're also pouring money into new product development.
I keep innovating, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the EV world, things change so fast.
Exactly. But it's not just about keeping up with the competition. They're doing a lot of research to figure out exactly what the Bharat market wants and needs.
So it's a very targeted approach.
It is. They're looking at things like driving patterns in those cities, infrastructure limitations. They're getting granular.
That makes sense. It all ties back to that mass premium idea. Give the people what they want at a price they can afford.
Yep. Okay, so we've got expansion and product development. What about diversification? Are they sticking to just 2- and 3-wheelers?
Good question.
Well, get this. They're planning to move into premium electric scooters and rickshaws.
Premium scooters and rickshaws. Interesting. Why those?
Think about it. Scooters and rickshaws are already super common in India. Traffic, tight spaces, they're perfect for those environments.
Makes sense.
And as people look for greener options, electric scooters and rickshaws are going to become even more popular.
So they're riding that wave, but with a focus on the higher end of the market.
Exactly. They want to be known for the best quality, the coolest designs, all those extra bells and whistles.
Appeal to a slightly different customer. It's a smart strategy, but I imagine there are challenges.
Well, for sure. One of the biggest ones is going to be managing that growth. As they get bigger, they need to make sure they don't lose sight of operational efficiency, quality control.
And keeping those customers happy.
Yep. It's like building a house, you know? The bigger it gets, the stronger the foundation has to be.
I like that analogy.
And their finances need to be rock solid. Expansion costs money, so they got to be careful.
Well, they did mention in their prospectus that they're committed to using the IPO funds wisely.
Right, sustainable growth. And those personal guarantees from the promoters, those show they're in it to win it. But it's a lot of pressure, too.
Definitely. It's not just business, it's personal for them. So we've talked about the internal challenges.
Yeah.
What about external factors?
Oh, those are always lurking. Government regulations could change, the economy could tank.
Finding skilled workers could become difficult.
Exactly. It's like trying to hit a moving target sometimes.
They got to be adaptable.
And then there's the competition. It's only going to get tougher as more players enter the EV market.
It's a race to the top, but it's good for consumers in the end, right?
Oh, absolutely. More innovation, better products, lower prices. Everyone wins.
So Delta Autocorp is playing a role in shaping the future of transportation in India.
That's pretty cool. It is. It's bigger than just one company. Okay, so we've talked about their growth strategy, the risks, the challenges, the whole context. But what's their big vision? Where do they see themselves in the long run?
Yeah, what's the ultimate goal?
Well, they haven't spelled it out in detail, but it's pretty clear they want to be the leader in the Indian EV market, especially in that Bharat market.
So they're not just selling vehicles, they're trying to change how people think about transportation.
Exactly. They want to be the pioneers, the ones who make EVs the norm, and their focus on customer experience. That's a big part of it.
It's about building a community, not just a customer base.
Right. People who believe in their vision, who are excited about the future of electric mobility. It's ambitious, no doubt.
It's a bold vision. So we've explored their origins, their growth, their plans, the risks, the opportunities. It's been a fascinating journey.
It has, but it's important to remember that the EV landscape is changing constantly. Delta Autocorp has to stay on their toes.
Always adapting, always innovating.
Exactly. Okay, I think it's time to move on to the final part of our deep dive. We'll wrap everything up.
And give everyone some food for thought.
Stay tuned.
All right, we're back. We spent a lot of time with Delta Autocorp, their story, their strategy, and their place in this electric vehicle revolution happening in India.
We've gone through a lot, that's for sure. Their unique approach, those interesting manufacturing choices, their amazing revenue growth, and of course that IPO that's just around the corner.
It's been a whirlwind, that's for sure. So, as we start to wrap things up, what are the key takeaways? What should our listeners remember about Delta Autocorp?
Well, they're making a big bet on India's EV future. Specifically, they're all in on what we've been calling the Virat market, those up-and-coming cities in Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas.
Right, those places where things are changing fast, a lot of growth, and a growing demand for affordable and cool-looking electric vehicles.
And Delta Autocorp wants to be the electric vehicle company for those people. Not just one of many, but the one.
Ambitious for sure.
And you know what? Their strategy seems to be working. Their revenue is through the roof. They've got dealerships all over the place, and they're putting a lot of resources into expansion and creating new products.
They're playing the long game for sure, but it's not all easy, is it? They've got some serious hurdles to overcome.
Totally. Tons of competition, those ever-changing regulations, and just the pure challenge of growing so quickly, making sure they can handle it all.
It's high stakes, no doubt. And with the IPO coming up, it's a turning point for them.
Totally agree. It's a chance to get the resources they need to really take off, but it also means they're under a microscope now. People are watching.
We got to deliver. You know, one thing that's stuck with me throughout all of this is their commitment to customer experience.
Yeah, me too. That's not something you see every day in the auto industry, at least not like this.
They're going above and beyond, that's for sure.
They get it. They understand that building relationships with customers is huge, especially in a market where trust is still being built.
It's not just about selling cars. They're creating a whole community around their brand.
I like that. It's like a movement, people coming together who believe in what Delta Autocorp is doing.
Believing in that future where EVs are just normal, not some special thing. And, you know, this focus on the customer experience could really set them apart.
Totally. Especially as more and more EV companies pop up. A happy customer is a customer who comes back for more and tells their friends.
It's proof that those soft skills, taking care of the customer, really matter, even in a high-tech field like this. So let's think bigger picture for a second. What does it mean if Delta Autocorp pulls off this IPO successfully?
Well, it could change things for the whole Indian stock market.
How so?
It could be like a signal flare showing that investors are hungry for EV companies. We could see a whole bunch more going public, more money flowing into the sector.
Right. Delta Autocorp could pave the way.
Exactly. And that could boost the entire Indian economy, create jobs, help make India a leader in EV manufacturing.
It's not just about one company's success anymore. It's about something much bigger. Okay, we've thrown a lot of information at our listeners today.
We have their origins, their plans, the good, the bad, the whole picture.
But we want to leave everyone with some things to think about.
Some questions to chew on.
I like that. Hit us with those questions.
So, given how focused they are on this Bharat market, could they become the top dog there, the name everyone thinks of when they think of electric vehicles?
Could they really become that dominant force in those cities, building a brand that's impossible to ignore? It's an interesting question.
It is. And here's another one. How will their dedication to the customer experience change what it means to own an EV in India?
Will they set a new standard? Force the other companies to step up their game? And will that benefit everyone in the end?
It's exciting to think about.
It is. The EV landscape in India is changing so fast, and Delta Autocorp is right there, leading the charge. It's a story of ambition, innovation, and taking a chance on the future. We've loved diving into it with you today.
We have, but remember, this is just a snapshot. Things are moving quickly. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep digging deeper.
That's what the deep dive is all about. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time.